Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you if you've just joined me. We're running late. Had some technical issues, but now we're back on track. So if you're joining me, thank you. And I want to start today with saying that consistency is key to everything. And consistency leads to success, but only if that consistency is genuine and authentic. And one of the most popular mantras in self-help and the business world today is that consistency equals success. And that's true to a certain extent, but only if, as I said, it's genuine and authentic. Because if you're just going through the motions, doing what you think you're supposed to do without any real passion or conviction, then you're not going to get very far. In fact, you may end up feeling worse off than you were because you'll be consistently berating yourself for not being good enough. So the key to harnessing that power of consistency is to make sure it's rooted in something you're truly passionate about, something you really want to do, something you believe in, something that you're genuinely excited about doing. That way, it makes it easier to stick to it day after day, week after week, month after month, even when you're tired. And of course, even the most passionate people face challenges and setbacks at times. And that's why it's important to have a strong support system in place, whether that's a family, friends, coach, or whatever. So this is your first time you're joining me. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. This is MindFit Mornings, and I'm Pamela Hartnell. And I come on every week, twice a week, to help give you the tools so you can live your life by design rather than by default. And again, if you've just joined us for the first day, today's topic is about identifying the possible hurdles to being consistent. Now, what does not work and what makes consistency unstable? They're good questions to ask yourself. And there are many reasons that things can be made difficult, and consistency can be difficult to maintain. And I'll share with you 10 of the ones that I've discovered through my 30 years of coaching that seem to be the most common with my clients and even with my own self, with myself as well. So lack of clarity is the first one, because when you're not clear about what you want, it's hard to stay focused and motivated. And without a clear goal, it's easy to get sidetracked and give up altogether. But I'm not going to go into that one too much because I talked about clarity last week. So the second one then is lack of discipline, because discipline is the key stone to consistency, because without it, it's easy to fall into bad habits, make excuses for why you can't stick to your plan. And it becomes a problem because it's hard to be consistent if you don't have any structure or accountability in place. Now, there's people that will dodge accountability all over the place. So you have to have a plan. You have to have a way to keep going no matter what. And not having a plan, it's difficult to maintain that consistency, because without knowing where you're going or what you're working towards, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to sit there going, what do I do now? And then that's where procrastination, which is something else I talked about last time, gets in the way, because it makes you put off things because there's no immediate consequence for doing so. So if you want to be more consistent, you need help, and you need to overcome those hurdles particularly. And that discipline alone will help you stick to a plan even when those things get tough. Okay, so the third thing is something I talked about last week, but I'll just touch on it briefly, is distractions. It's just easy to get caught up with all the latest news, social media, texting, emails, TikTok, guilty, or other distractions that pull you away from your goals. And again, I covered that in last week's mindset show. So the fourth one then are time constraints. Sometimes, and I understand, life gets in the way and it's difficult to find the time to stay consistent with your goals. And that can be especially true if you've got a busy or hectic lifestyle or a demanding job. However, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, but some people seem to get more done than others. Now, have you ever asked yourself why that is? Okay. Again, the answer lies in having a clear goal and consistency and discipline, because there are always going to be hurdles to consistency, and the ability to show up and do what you said you were going to do day after day, week after week, month after month, is the key to that success. It's the hardest part, but it's the key, right? You have to be consistent and you have to do what you say you're going to do. Okay. Now, setbacks is my next point. There's always going to be setbacks too, and you can falter along the way, and that's normal. And I know it can make it really hard to stay on track, but you can experience challenging setbacks because of it. I get that too. And the problem with setbacks is they tend to lead and be followed by more setbacks and more setbacks. And that creates a snowball effect that makes it more difficult to get back on track. But the key there is to not to let that one setback, that one thing derail your entire journey, because all setbacks are temporary and there is a solution. And have a plan in place and stay consistent in your efforts to get back on track despite them. And everything will work out as long as you get back up and keep moving forward, no matter how down you seem to be or you get because of those setbacks. And I know I'm going through something right there right now where I feel like I just want to give up and forget about it all entirely. But you just got to promise yourself that you're just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. So then my sixth point then is lack of flexibility when things don't pan out. And life is unpredictable as anything, and things can change just like that. And if you're not flexible, it can be difficult to maintain any kind of consistency. I get that too. You know, it's like planning for a beautiful beachside picnic and it rains. That can totally ruin your whole mood and totally your day if you're not flexible and you haven't got a way to pivot. And it'll be a problem for you. You know, I know a couple of Mother's Days that I've had with my partner and his children, and it rained on that day, and all their plans were going out the window. And I went, "That's okay. Let's just build a tent inside or on the balcony, and we can have our picnic in there." And that's what we did. It was really cool. So other things then that make life difficult and make it hard to be consistent are limitations. Now, there may be some things that you can't control. For example, you may have a physical limitation that prevents you from doing certain things. And they can be a big hurdle, obviously, because you can't just keep going when your bodies are telling you to stop. But there's also mental limitations, which can be a really big hurdle because it makes it difficult to stay consistent when things start dropping and don't going right, and the people that are around you are just letting you down left, right, and center, and you just want to give up, like I said already, okay? Because you start not believing in yourselves, and you doubt that you've got the ability to see things through, and you doubt everything about everything you're doing, and it's not a fun place to be. But the good news is that both of those hurdles can be overcome with the right mindset and a bit of effort. And this is the part of my job that I love. I'm really good at helping you get back on track and cultivating a stronger and more positive mindset. So if you're struggling with consistency there are a couple of things that can help you get back on track. And Solution Friday is what I'm going to call that. And I'll share with you those solutions to help you get back on track on Friday. So then my eighth point that I want to share is boredom. It's probably one of the biggest saboteurs to your level of consistency. The same as fatigue and frustration. All of those are enemies of productivity. I should make that a quote. Fatigue, frustration, and boredom, enemies of productivity. I'm going to quote that. I'm going to make that a quote. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to be productive is to go overboard with their efforts. And I've been guilty of that too. They try to do too much at once and they end up spreading too thin, all right? And that usually leads to them becoming quickly overwhelmed and giving up altogether. So the key to maintaining the high levels of productivity over a long term then is to keep things interesting. Because it's easy to get bored with something if you're doing the same thing over and over. I got so many qualifications, I think, for that reason. I'm like always on to the next thing, okay? So to be consistent in your approach, as well as having a system in place that you can rely on, you've got to do whatever you need to do to avoid getting burnt out, you know. So if you find yourself getting bored, you know, consistency is the key. Always keep that in mind. And that may mean showing up, doing whatever you need to do and the work, even if you don't feel like it. Although, of course, there's an element of self-care needed there as well. So I'd like to ask you, how do you combat boredom? You know, for me, I run around doing 2,000 things at once, and I know it's not productive, but sometimes I get there and I have to pull myself back and make myself go, okay, calm down, Pam. Prioritize. So then if you don't do that, of course, you drop into my ninth point, which is excuses. And excuses are the backbone of not getting things done long-term and reliably, because it's easy to make excuses for why you can't do something or why you're not consistent or why it's not working, all right? But as you know, excuses just hold you back from achieving your goals, right? Because there's no such thing as I don't have time or I'll start tomorrow. Because if you really want something, you make time for it. Because I get up at 4:30 in the morning to start my day because there's things I want to get done. And if I don't get up at that time, they're not going to get done. So make the time to do what you want and start it today, not tomorrow. If you find yourself saying, I'll do that tomorrow, no, that's a little inner saboteur in there trying to derail you. And it doesn't matter how small the steps are. What matters is that you keep moving and you make a tiny step towards it. It doesn't matter what it is, right? And that's the same for consistency. If you want to be consistency, make it a priority. Yeah, I was going to say something else then, but so don't let other things get in the way. Find a way to fit it into your schedule and stick to it. Like, there's always going to be obstacles And there'll always be days when you don't feel like it. And like I said, I've been there, going through some things like that right now. Just like you want to give up, but you have to keep going with your plan and know that what you're doing is gonna get you there in the end, right? And be consistent with moving forward, right? Find a way to overcome those obstacles. And my last point with that is lack of support. Having a supportive network is essential for consistency. Because if you don't have the people in your life who believe in you, who are there for you, who show up for you when they say they're going to, it can be difficult to stay motivated. So be careful who you choose and how you go with that, okay? Because that can unravel you too. Because people can silently sabotage you by not doing what they say they're going to do, by putting doubts in your mind, by telling you maybe that's not a good idea or whatever it is, right? They're only going to come from their place and as far as that they're evolved as well. So that's a whole big subject, and I will do something better on that, or not better, but bigger on that, and make it a topic on its own. So the final thing I'd like to share then is when it comes to hurdles and their impact on consistency is identifying the repeatable processes that maybe you potentially ignore. And I believe that one of the biggest hurdles you face when it comes to consistency is identifying those processes that you're ignoring or not doing on a consistent basis. Because it's easy to get complacent and think that you're doing everything right. But if you're not paying attention to the little things, you're going to miss something really important. And I like to say the devil's in the details, because it's the small things that we do or that we don't do on a daily basis that add up over time and make a big difference. Repeatable processes can be things like not tracking your progress, right? Not planning, not organizing things properly, or not managing your time effectively, not delegating, not prioritizing, or not communicating or following through on your commitments. Okay, I've written a short blog for you on these points actually, and that can be available on request. So to wrap up then, if you're struggling with consistency, I want you to stop, because everything has a solution when you look for it. All obstacles can be overcome with time, effort, and commitment. And consistency is the main key, as is discipline, to achieving your goals. So I want you to stay focused and stay disciplined, and under no circumstances ever give up on yourself. Okay, that's it for me today. Remember to constantly work on your personal growth and leveling up your mindset so you can get MindFit and go after what you really want in life. Now, on Friday, I'll be offering solutions to the points I shared above. So I would love to see you there and join me. And as always, thank you for being here. Be sure to join my online community and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share with anyone that you think might benefit from a bit of a positive mindset. So my greatest wish for you is for you to be MindFit so you can live your best life and live it with passion. Reset, be authentic, and be you. And good morning, Mark Sullivan from YouTube. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for holding on. Unlearn to rebuild. It's about focusing on things that we are good at. Exactly. It is. And Sebastian says, sometimes the world does not know what one is going through. Yeah, I agree with that. Cancer, tumor, rather life-threatening disease can change everything. How does one stay consistent then? You have to prioritize your health and get the right people around you to support you, Sebastian. But that's a big subject right there. Often the world is oblivious to reality one is dealing with. World does not always know or understand. How does one solve that? Yeah, that's a big question too. Again, you take yourself away from it, I think, and you give yourself the time. Go away on a holiday, take the time out that you need to recover, or do whatever I would say to anyone struggling with that. Give your time for self-care. It's really important. Delegate what you need to the people around you. Step back. Okay, that's it. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you on Friday.